Hello, welcome to session 3 of supply chain design course. In session 3, we will study about operations and supply chain design strategy. So the learning objectives for this chapter are that operation strategy and strategic fit. What is that? There are different ways in operations exist to create value and to reduce costs. Different operation strategy can be classified as follows: innovation strategy, efficiency strategy, quality strategy, and service strategy. A supply chain strategy should correspond to competitive and operation strategy. Matching enterprise competitive strategy and supply chain strategy is named strategic fit. Strategic fit presumes alignment of objectives in different departments with the overall supply chain objectives. For example, typical decisions in marketing relate to product mix and pricing. This should be brought into correspondence with logistic decisions such as transportation, packaging, and transshipment. There are two different supply chain strategies: efficient and effective strategy. Those strategies have primary goals of supply demand at the lowest cost and respond quickly to demand. Both strategies can be eliminate the bullwhip effect that potentially occurs in uncoordinated supply chain. Therefore, two more strategies in supply chain is to both effective and efficient supply chain are vendor managed inventory or VMI and collaborative planning, forecasting, and replenishment or CPFR. However, when a supply disruption comes, bullwhip effect will transform into ripple effect as a result from disruption propagation of an initial disruption toward other supply chain stages in the supply, production, and distribution networks. Therefore, supply chain not only need to be cost effective and flexible, but also to be resilient in order to be sustainable. Okay, now let's take a look at these three cases about fashion supply chain. First, for Zara. Zara is a global fashion retailer selling its goods around the world. Zara is commonly known for its always up to the minute styles and products. The main key to their corporate strategy is their supply chain strategy. Zara's strategy to produce just 50% of their season's inventory and keeps back 50% to be produced in the middle of the season needs market intelligence to keep an eye on upcoming trends in each country on university campuses, nightclubs, and fashion shows. Zara employed postponement strategy, that is customization of their products, by keeping many garments in a generic imprinted stage and can be modified from generic to finished according to customer demand. Therefore, Zara has its own high-tech factories and a number of subcontractors, while keeping outsourcing to a minimum level, and produces mainly in developed countries to provide better quality control. A sourcing strategy: Zara has procurement offices in the UK, China, and the Netherlands to import 40% of their basic products as finished goods from low-cost countries. Other materials from customization are sourced locally to minimize transportation costs. Therefore, short lead times are another key factor for Zara. Zara redesigned inventory strategy by aggregately planned inventory for the entire store chains. Thus, Zara replenishes its stores twice a week. The company provides the necessary fundamentals for subcontractors to accomplish their agreed delivery times. Another strategy for Zara is that marketing. Zara sees all promotion activities as distracting for the customer. The company has managed to present itself as a fashion retailer with ever-changing and up-to-date styles with good quality at affordable price levels. Customers value exactly these assets, making all additional marketing efforts unnecessary. So what about Uniqlo? Uniqlo does the exact opposite of Zara, but is no less successful. Uniqlo is one of the largest and fastest growing Japanese companies and ranks third among fashion retailers worldwide, following Gap and Marks and Spencer. Products are rather casual and basic, making them occasion and ageless, but still stylish. Using various colors and cuts, this way, Uniqlo meet customer demand independently from clothes being presented on the catwalk at the moment. Uniqlo has multiple production and purchasing offices in Asia, which look after more than 100 suppliers each week. In this way, the company is able to maintain good quality control over the outsourced partners. If issues concerning quality arise, they are instantly taken to the production units where means for improvements are found, and therefore Uniqlo is seeking to expand their purchasing and production facilities to meet demand in the UK and the US. Uniqlo controls its inventory carefully, trying to maintain optimal inventory levels each week. At the end of each season, products are sold for 20 to 30% less than the initial price to get rid of inventory. Additionally, the fashion retailer has found a new place for selling clothes, railway station. The concept works fabulously for Uniqlo. For instance, Shinjuku Station in Tokyo, biggest rail station, where the Uniqlo store meanwhile ranks 6th from all 770 Uniqlo stores. Popularity has also risen among so-called one-day packs with basics like socks and underwear. We go for Primark. What about Primark? A lot for little is what customers value when visiting Primark stores, while leaving with huge bags full of new fashionable clothes, which cost not even half of what competitors offer. Primark belongs to Associated British Food, a company selling food and clothes. Since the first store opened in Dublin, Primark has quickly expanded and today counts more than 250 stores all over Europe. The product is based on simple design with fashionable prints. To save cost, Primark focuses on selling only the most popular sizes. Primark's customer demand catwalk fashion items at supermarket price level. That's why it is all about money for Primark. Primark's products are sourced from more than 600 suppliers, mainly from low-cost countries. Buying and selling in high volume and using economies of scale also allow Primark to cut down selling prices for the customers. The company uses off-season times to produce in advance and uses cheaper production periods. Primark uses a typical efficient make-to-stock strategy where the focus is to guess what? Cut cost. Additionally, Primark puts little markup on their products and avoid marketing efforts, as it trusts to mouth-to-mouth advertising. Hence, prices are comparatively low. In the past, criticism has risen towards sustainability issues regarding low-cost retailers, as many workers in low-cost countries have to suffer poor working conditions. There are four different operation strategies can be classified as innovation strategy, cost strategy, service or response strategy, and quality strategy. The main driver in innovation strategy is great product or service innovation. Creating value through unique product or service properties may significantly increase company margins while maintaining cost efficiencies. For instance, Apple. Apple made a smooth transition from iPhone 3 to 4 that incurred only a slight increase of manufacturing cost, but generating additional profit as much as twice of the previous profit. Thus, supply chain management should enable fast new product development. Different to innovation strategy, efficiency strategy, or cost strategy, put price as the main competitive advantage. An example from IKEA logistics and manufacturing operations show that the company employ efficiency strategy in all steps in the value chain, starting with designing products that improve the efficiency of production, sourcing, and shipments. Germany, for many years, have been successfully employs quality strategy to ensure competitive advantage based on superior product properties. For such products, costs may be higher, since in all the operational areas, decisions are taken in favor of quality. Quality control mechanisms are crucial for ensuring high quality in the supply chains. What about service and response? Service or responsiveness strategy means high priority of customer preferences in operations decisions. In this chapter's case study, Sarah, for instance, is known for its highly responsive operations and supply chains. This becomes possible through sophisticated facility location planning and production in small batches. Both creates additional costs, but they are overcome by higher value added. Next, we talk about strategic fit, that is the logistic and marketing interface. A supply chain strategy should correspond to competitive and operations strategy. Matching enterprise competitive strategy and supply chain strategy is named strategic fit. Strategic fit presumes alignment of objectives in different departments with the overall supply chain objectives. For example, typical decisions in marketing relate to products mix and pricing. This should be brought into correspondence with logistic decisions such as transportation, packaging, and transit. A supply chain strategy does not commonly target only one aspect. For instance, just decreasing price to the lowest level may not be an option. At the same time, supply chain strategy needs to be matched to company and customer requirements. In this slide, the strategic fit and supply chain strategy operations management strategy are explained. Consider the detailed, efficient, and responsive strategy in our table. The characteristics of responsive supply chain or agile supply chain are fast response to customer demand, low inventory with flexible suppliers. Also, lead times are reduced to enable swift reaction to demand fluctuations. Margins are comparatively high to suitably fulfill the company's financial needs. Responsive supply chains are best fit where market requirements are unpredictable and changeable. If we look at the opposite, that is lean supply chain or efficient supply chain, the market situation is stable and demand also the price are also stable. The variety of products is also comparatively low. Efficient supply chains concentrate mainly on lowering cost via high capacity utilization, minimizing inventory, and contracting suppliers from low-cost countries. Accordingly, margins are kept at low level. Lean supply chain strategies are also trying to reduce lead times, but not at the expense of higher costs. While choosing a strategy, it is sometimes advisable to go for a mixed approach, mixed between efficient and responsive. A poor strategy might endanger for a company, perhaps by its not positioning itself prominently enough in the market, with additional risk of encountering other negative aspects. Some situations require a clear position in the lean or agile supply chain. However, many companies have a wide product range. For some products, market conditions may be stable. For others, however, they may be volatile and unpredictable. For these companies, a hybrid strategy applying elements of responsiveness and efficiency for their particular products is advisable. As a part of supply chain strategy, the definition of pre-assembled component, modules, or systems is paramount. These modules or systems should be pre-tested and should be ready to install, ship directly from the suppliers to the point of usage on the shop floor of the producer. Furthermore, the early cooperations between the supplier of the modules and its customer will also help to increase the usage of standard parts in higher volume, which will also result in reduced costs due to economies of scale. There are two causes of pull effect, behavioral and operational. For instance, misuse of base stock policy. When inventory reaches its lowest level set by supply chain members, the members will order up to a peak inventory levels, regardless the level of actual demand. As a result, the members will try to minimize the average inventory level by sending out the stock as much and as soon as possible. Even the quantity of delivery does not reflect the actual demand. Second, about misperception of feedback and time delays. Some members of the supply chain do not adequately account for time delays when ordering and therefore expecting faster transportation. Third, panic ordering reactions after unmet demand. Once back order occurs, supply chains members will try to anticipate the future demands by assuming that the level of future demands are close or equal to the current demands. Fourth, perceived risk of other players' bounded rationality. For example, information transferred in the form of orders tends to become distorted as firms seek to protect themselves from demand uncertainty or shipping delay. Another cause is operational. For instance, dependent demand processing demand is non-transparent and causes distortion in information. The underlying operational causes include the distortion of information, increasing batch size to reduce setup cost, rationing of inventory, and logistics delay. Each cause can be complicated by a variety of managerial decision-making heuristics and bounded rationality. Second, about lead time variability. Supply unreliability will trigger downstream members to put more quantity of orders to anticipate stock out. Third, but lot sizing and order synchronization. Upstream supply chains will synchronize their orders based on order quantity comes to them. Furthermore, lot sizing limits supply chain members' flexibility to adjust delivery quantity in order to meet the actual demand, but they tend to minimize transportation cost by sending to their customers at a capacity of transportation vehicles. Second, what quantity discount? When a product price is low, through direct discount or through direct discounts or promotional schemes, a customer buys in bigger quantities than needed. When the product's price returns to normal, the customer stops buying until it has depleted its inventory. As a result, the customer buying pattern does not reflect its consumption pattern, and the variation of the buying quantities is much bigger than the variation of the consumption rate. As a result, the bullwhip effect. About trade promotion and forward buying. Marketing campaign motivates downstream supply chains to order more than they need in order to get advantage from lower product price. Forward buying results from price fluctuations in the marketplace. Manufacturers and distributors periodically have special promotions like price discounts, quality discounts, coupons, rebates, and so on. All these promotions result in price fluctuation. Additionally, manufacturers also offer trade deals, for instance special discount, price terms, and payment terms to the distributors and wholesalers, which are in an indirect form of price discount. Knowing that manufacturer will ration when the product is in short supply, customers exaggerate their real needs when they order. Later, when demand cools, order will suddenly disappear and cancellation pour in. This seeming overreaction by customers anticipating shortages results when organizations and individuals make sound, rational economic decisions and game the potential rationing. The effect of gaming is that customers' orders give the supplier little information on the product's real demand, a particular fetching problem for manufacturers in a product's early stages. Uncertainty about the action of other decision makers is also identified as a trigger for instability. Collective insufficient coordination between supply chain partners and the critical interaction between bounded rationality and rationing gaming have been revealed as the primary causes for bullwhip effect. A bullwhip effect causes the pattern of delivery from a supplier to a buyer become more erratic, and a negative consequences are higher safety stocks, inefficient production, surplus or sometimes shortage, and low or peak utilization of distribution channels can be recognized. As a countermeasure for bullwhip effect, the following can be identified. Information coordination between suppliers and buyers can make demand information to be more transparent. Order lot size must be coordinated by considering both supplier and buyer inventory and order cost. Use everyday low prices instead of promotion. Help buyers to plan their inventory in a better way. Producing better demand forecasts will enable a supplier to learn demand pattern and customer behavior. Finally, policies to control return and cancelled orders by including end customers into buyback and return program will be able to control customer behavior in returning or canceling orders. Next, a general formulation of bullwhip effect is provided in this slide as follows: that order variant R is equal to variance of order divided the average demand rate mu divided by the variance of demand and then divided by the average demand. And therefore, the outcome of the performance indicator, if the performance indicator is higher than 1 means variance amplification is present. If the performance indicator is equal to 1 means no variance amplification is present. If the performance indicator is lower than 1 means smoothing or damping is present. The question is, what should supply chains do if the performance indicator is lower than 1? It exists to manage uncertainty of supply and demand or safety stock, and to take advantages of economy of scales in terms of cycle inventory. At the same time, modern markets require more flexibility from supply chains. Customer orders and demand change frequently. In building up high inventory, companies can increase their flexibilities on one hand, but on the other hand, if demand changes, these inventory mountains will lead to losses. Then supply chain needs coordination instead of uncertainty, and therefore inventory can be managed by using information, which makes supply chain to be more integrated. Therefore, both supplier and buyer need transparency of demand and inventory, where vendor control inventory at the buyer side and buyer provides information on inventory and sales. In the figure of the current slide, managing inventory is vendor responsibility, not the buyer. The main difference between VMI and non-VMI is that the real-time inventory information is made available to the supplier, the manufacturer of a wholesaler, and a customer, distributor, or retailer relinquishes the control of inventory to him and not the vice versa. Now let's go to the next slide. The figure of this slide shows that with VMI, the vendor controls inventory at the buyer side. The buyer provides information on inventory and sales. The vendor has a responsibility to monitor buyer inventory level and therefore plan on when to deliver and how much to deliver products to the buyer. Afterwards, the vendor confirms the order to the buyer, where the buyer needs to agree about the order quality and the date set by the vendor. The delivery of order by the vendor will replenish the inventory of the buyer. Finally, the vendor issues invoice to the buyer and the buyer will settle the invoice. In order to conclude about vendor managed inventory, the vendor, on the other hand, the vendor takes full responsibility for maintaining an agreed inventory level of the material, usually at the buyer's consumption location, usually a store. A third-party logistic provider or 3PL can be involved to control the required level of inventory by adjusting the demand and supply gaps. Vendor reviews every item that a customer carries and is responsible for the inventory plan, including inventory replenishment by delivering necessary products to the buyer. Efficiency increase of process activities is based on electronic data interchange or EDI and collaborative supply chain organization. Therefore, the vendor managed inventory as an insurance against the unknown through collaboration. Thus, inventories in supply chain management are leverages of supply chain reliability and flexibility rather than buffers against a blind uncertainty. Now let's take a look at L'Oreal VMI on the slide. The difference between both diagrams, left and right, are that non-VMI strategy requires the buyer, in this case DM drogery market, as a buyer to decide on how much to order based on its own demand forecasting. In addition, Non-VMI strategy, due to demand infeasibility by L'Oreal, needs to minimize the buyer inventory by routing the products to its branches. The routing must achieve economies of scales of transportation. On the other hand, VMI strategy enables the buyers to distribute directly products to its branches because the demand is visible to L'Oreal. That makes the quantity of distributed product is equal to the actual demand. As a result, inventory level at non-VMI strategy is higher than VMI strategy. Okay, now what about the VMI technology at supply own? The following steps are included into VMI process in supply own. First, both supplier and buyer agree in the minimum and maximum stock limits, meaning that if a buyer stock reach its lowest level or reorder point (ROP), then the vendor must deliver orders at agreed lead times to avoid stock out at the buyer store. Second, demand and inventory information are shared from ERP to supply on. Third, the demand inventory information sharing enables the supplier to plan deliveries based on agreed limits. Fourth, automatic supply notification or ASN is entered by supplier and transmitted to the ERP system to let the buyer knows when the order will arrive. Fifth, inventory monitor shows in transit quantities. Sixth, goods are booked into the system upon delivery and are visible in the monitor and that therefore inventory level at the buyer is updated. Seventh, invoice or credit note is generated as soon as the goods have been booked. Now we are going into the advantages of VMI. VMI give advantages to both supplier and buyer as follows. Vendor will be able to predict any demand pattern peculiarities in advance. Vendor also able to plan production optimally and therefore increases production volume. The demand and inventory information sharing means the vendor has obligation to meet the delivery standard and increases communication with its buyer. Vendor also can use the shared information to manage its supply and resource management. In addition, the vendor can also use the information to analyze its market and eliminate unnecessary waste in its operations. After all, the vendor gets customer trust and therefore ties customer closer and attain preferred status. For buyer, life will be much easier without worrying about stock out and simplify procurement activities. As a result, a chance of stock out can be minimized with higher inventory turnover. Higher inventory turnover minimizes holding cost, purchasing cost, and administration cost. In addition, information sharing increases the strength of supply chain relationships with greater customer satisfaction and therefore increases sales volume. For overall supply chain, the inventory of the entire chains can be minimized with better inventory control. Therefore, the stocks will be decreased and supply chain financial planning will be improved. That because of long-term collaboration commitment. For end user, demand and inventory information sharing increases customer service level by reducing probability of stock out. In addition to the benefits of VMI, VMI also contains some limitations. For instance, It is proven that a sustainable FMI requires trust from both parties and willingness to invest like switching costs, EDI, etc. Closer relationship implies more interdependency and cooperation. So a customer needs to be ready to communicate promotions and order and other marketing campaigns with the supplier so that additional items can be available on time. Among other limitations of VMI are unforeseeable risks as employee strikes in case of stockouts and customer loss risk. And then we can list the limitation of VMI as follows. Trust in the supply chain should be high so that none of the participants leak the information to competitors. High cost of implementation and investment in IT. Otherwise, unreliable VMI strategy generates a risk of customer loss. There is also non-foreseeable risk such as employee strikes due to work pressure related to IT implementation. Vendor does most of work, but buyer and end users takes the benefit. Vendor need to invest in information processing activities, which are costly. Finally, due to imbalance of responsibility in managing inventory, a buyer will heavily dependent on a vendor who operates VMI. Therefore, VMI is optimal to be applied to products with high consumption amount, like A and B types of items in ABC classification that cover 90% of the total orders. Finally, procurement activities must be changed in order to accommodate FEMA strategy.